conversations where we dive deep into real stories and insights of mental health, resilience, and a journey towards a more fulfilling life. My guest today is the delectable, amiable Elohor Omeru. The woman is just fine. She's just fine. I'm always telling her how fine she is. She's just fine. And when I first met her, it was a clothing that she had sold to someone. And then I saw it and I was like, okay. The person now sent me her handle. And so I went and I just sent her a message and that was it. I was hooked, to say the least. It's such an honor to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's such an honor to have you. I'm grateful that you are able to come on. We were just having a regular conversation and then we got into the conversation on the podcast and I just said, you should come. And she was so gracious to actually accept to come. And I'm so grateful that you accepted to come because what we're going to be talking about is something that we need to actually just explore. Some people don't want to talk about stuff like this. And what we're talking about today is early widowhood and your mental health. I said that again, and I want you to look at her again and see this person. Tell me about this.
Okay, so thank you so much for the question once again. And, so basically, there are a lot of things in life that are not prepared for. And this is one of those things that, comes and you're like, how did this happen? How did I get here? Basically. So something for me, from my own experience, something I've come to know, realize, and also navigate through is the fact that it's how you pick it up from the get-go that determines how you're able to navigate through the entire process, right? So if you are not quick to say, I will pull through this, people find themselves in dark holes that they find so difficult to come out from because at that point it gets really hard to get out of that hole. Yeah. But if at the early stages when it happens, you tell yourself, it's more like you talking to yourself and telling yourself that, get up, I can do this. And when children are also involved, you are not doing this for just yourself. You are doing this for those children that are looking up to you to say, mommy, because they get strength from you. They get strength from the adults they can see. So for women, I would tell, because nobody plans for this, but I would say, if such a thing should ever occur, first off, get yourself together and tell yourself, stand up. Stand up. Don't stay down. Because if you stay down, it will be very, very difficult to get up. Like when plantain is in oil, and the oil is, not hot. It keeps soaking oil. And when you get that plantain out of the oil, it's soggy, and it takes a long process to get that plantain back together again. That's the same thing about grief. When you stay there too long, it's difficult to come out of it. That's why people get into depression, anxiety attacks, and all whatnot. So, for me, I hope I have answered your question in one way or the other.
Yeah. So let me ask you. So, you said something in the beginning. You said it's not something, nobody plans for this.
No.
What happened? Your husband was ill. And then from the time when he was ill, was there a point where you thought, oh, this illness is going to die from here? Tell me, just tell us about the circumstances, his illness, and when he passed, and how you were able to manage yourself, especially with the children.
Okay. How do I start with this now? Okay, let me start from somewhere. There are some things that, for instance, maybe someone has a headache.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, you'll be fine, just take this and take that and take this and take that. Right now, I'm not going to probably delve into details of the exact same thing, and all that, but I'll just give, an instance. It was something of that sort. Something that someone goes into the hospital and you expect the person to come out of the hospital that same day, not even to sleep in the hospital, right? So that fateful day, like every other day, woke up, got everything going, and he wasn't feeling too good. And he went to the hospital. His brother took him to the hospital. And when we got there, we're talking and everything. I'm trying it. Everything just started. Everything just happened so quickly, spiraled out of control, and that same day he passed. Right. So how does someone, it's not something that was prepared for, because sometimes when people are, they've been sick for a very long period of time, somehow mentally you're able to get to yourself to that place of saying, okay, something like this could probably happen.
That's why some people say he has gone to rest because he really suffered.
Exactly. But in this case scenario, nobody saw it coming. It's just something that happened, and that same day everything just happened like that, and that was it.
How did you manage? How did you take this?
Okay. That day, I was actually at the hospital. I saw everything. I was there. And initially, the first reaction was, how on earth am I going to get through this? Being that at that time, my first child was 8 years old and the last was 3 years old. Two in between, 4 in total, right? I felt it wasn't a doable thing. So at that point, I was also wishing that, okay, if I could also go myself, it will make it, at least I will escape from the reality of not having to go through this. And
wait, if you could go yourself, that's you just thought you won't be able to handle this, you would have been happy to die.
At that point, yeah, such thoughts cross your mind that,
wow,
can I do this?
Wow.
Can I handle this? Because before, you were two handling this situation, and all of a sudden it's one person handling the children. And I had a husband that was so supportive, right? Very supportive. Someone that wakes up in the morning. I don't get the children ready for school alone. We did it together. He baths them, I dress them up, or he baths, dresses them up, I make breakfast, what they're going to take to school and all that. We shared a lot of responsibilities. So having a partner that shares responsibilities with you, and all of a sudden you are left alone to carry everything, at that point, it's a strong shocker. Very strong shocker. And of course, like every normal human being, of course, my blood pressure at that time was going out of control. I think I collapsed like 4 times, rushed to the hospital. And at a point, the doctor that was attending to me told me, madam, remember your children. If for any reason you have to stand up, you have to stand up because of these children, because they are all still young. And he told me that his own sister just passed 2 weeks before. And right now the husband is a mess, the children are a mess, they look so disheveled, they are not able to get themselves together. I said, for your children's sake, fight. That thing he told me got me, it was a jolt back to reality that there's no escape from this. It has happened, it has happened. Where do we get to from here? And I got home, I picked up my Bible, I picked up the book of Job and started reading it. And that book at that point, made so much sense to me that I have never experienced before. Because the book of Job was just something I just glance through and everything. But at this point, as though reading it was just pouring oil on me, strength. And from that day, I told myself, Elohor, God got you. God got you. God is your strength, and you will go through this. And these children, you will take care of them because they need you. Right? And they say the rest is history. Right?
So I was driving and going back. At one point I parked and I said, God, you're so kind. You're so kind. Not because I didn't know that God was kind, but because you could have caved in. But he held you.
He held me.
And you allowed yourself to be held.
Exactly. That's the point.
You allowed yourself to be held. Because many times, this is like driving a car. When a person is driving and you have an accident, especially when you're learning, you have an accident, they always tell you, get back into the car and drive again. Because if you don't get back in, you will not drive that car. You just tell yourself that driving is not for me. I know many people that haven't driven cars, because they had an accident when they were learning. So I understand that, and I really want to say that you're strong. So how are you able to manage your mental health? Because I know that, first of all, parenting is intentional hard work.
That's true.
You need both parents, both whole parents,
yes,
to be able to parent one child, bring up one child.
That's
How are
true.
you managing with 4?
Okay. First off, I would say because everything about me stems from the grace of God.
Mm.
I would say God's grace has been sufficient, and I have seen the reality of when the Bible says new mercies every morning.
Mm.
So every morning, a new dose of mercy, fresh mercy comes for that day, right? So for them, aside all that, I think growing up too, I've also been a very, you know, independent person,
Okay.
and I've also been someone that organizes everything for everybody, basically, because I've always had the responsibility of managing people, right?
Awesome.
So yes, managing 4 children to me it's not so much of a hassle. So people come and say, how do you do it? How do you manage them? How do you organize your life? How are you able to do your business? How are you able to do this? How is your house still so neat? How is everything like
yes,
this?
your house is always so neat, by the way. Always.
You know, so I would say that because in secondary school, okay, I think primary school, I was what you call neatest girl. Secondary school, I was the house prefect of my dormitory. I was the president of drama group. So I've always been managing people. University, chairman, seminar committee. You understand? So 4 children is not so much, you know.
You have built that mental muscle over the years. For such a time as this.
Yes. And sometimes you don't know that God is preparing you for what is ahead of you. Everything that comes in life, everything that hits you in life, at every point in time, is for a reason. So at that point, you will think that, oh, why do I have so much responsibility? Why am I the chalk prefect at the same time house prefect, at the same time this, at the same time that? But God has already seen ahead.
He knows the end from the beginning.
Exactly. So He has gone ahead of you to make provision. And I will say this too. In this process, I should have said this in the first question you asked me, but I'll say this now. When you know where your loved one is going to, it gives closure. When a loved one passes, and for me, my faith is a strong foundation, and I believe and I know that he's gone to be with the Lord. It's not as if I think, I know this without a shadow of a doubt that he's in heaven. And when people pass and they are in heaven, they are not in your past, they are in your future. Because one day you will see them again.
Resurrection morning.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's why the Bible says you do not grieve like people that without hope. You don't grieve like a hopeless person and just wallow in it and then allow it to consume you. No. Because you know that one day, those people, you will see that they are not dead. It's just the mortal body that has gone to sleep. And that's why Jesus said, let's go and wake our friend Lazarus for his sleepers.
So true.
Yes.
So true. So I love the fact that you're able to, trace the fact that I've done this before, so I can do it again. And that's something that helps people when it comes to, mental health matters. It's like, apart from, it's not celebrating your wins. I can't remember what the concept is called. When you look and say, I have done it before. So what has worked before? I was able to do this. I was able to do that. And so it's like what David did in the Bible said, when he said, the lion and the bear, I will feed your head. Fantastic.
Yes.
I love it. So that's how you're able to manage yourself up until now.
Yes.
So tell me about your business. Have you always done this business that you do?
Actually, this business was meant to start, the months before my late husband passed. Right? We've talked about it and everything and all that. And at that point, I was just preparing my first consignment. Very small consignment. Very, very small. Because I wanted to test the waters. Because prior to this time, I had a lot of friends saying, hello, you're very fashionable, you're this. Why don't you do things that we can also buy, right? And that was something that really prompted me to say, this is my terrain. It's like a fish in water. It won't be something that will be
you struggle
to do. So actually, it was after everything, after he had passed, my first consignment came the exact week, because I was already preparing for everything. The exact week he passed was when everything came. I just left everything in one corner and said, you know what? Let's finish everything. Let's finish everything that has to be done. And when I came back after the burial ceremony, I looked at the things, the clothes looking at me. I looked at my children and I told myself, I said, Elohor, what do you want? Where do we go from here? I said, pick up yourself and start. So at that time I picked up and started modeling the clothes. Not smiling so much at that time, just maybe a straight face and just take a picture. And in about 2 weeks, everything sold out. And that's how I've been going from there. And it's been a beautiful experience, and I'm glad I delved into the fashion terrain.
Because also it could have served as a distraction for you at the time when it first came. But also that same thing could have served as a reminder of him and decide that, no, I don't want to do this. We planned this together. I don't want to do this. But I love the fact that you took it up, because it's like honoring his memory as well. That was a beautiful thing to do. Beautiful. I'm sure you have heard from many people that you're strong and all of that.
That's a lot.
I'm going to say it again, you're strong. And I love it, because you will never know if you meet her outside of knowing this now, you will never even have a clue. I didn't know. Every time I went to her house to pick up any of these, I'll just be like, okay, maybe he has gone to work, because it was work time. Maybe he's going to work. I never even asked, never crossed my mind. I'd seen her mom, I'd seen her children, but I'd never seen her husband. So I just thought, okay, maybe he's not around, maybe he traveled. We have a lot of marriages like that. The man has traveled abroad or he's always at work. So it never crossed my mind. The day she told me, I'm like, you don't look like it. And this is why I brought her here. There may be a young woman who her husband has passed, because these days there's no age to when a person can pass. We never know. Like she said, it was like every normal day. You get a headache, you get a stomach pain or anything, and you were there and you just want to fall apart. I want you to just remember that there is someone like this that has brought hope to your screen, for you to know that you can get up and stand again. That is what her spouse would have wanted, and that's what your spouse probably wants, for you to be able to say, I will not die. My children are here. Sometimes life happens and people die. Sometimes we give up and die. So don't give up. When you want to actually feel like you want to give up, look at her again and say, okay, if this woman can be beautiful like this and pick herself up, then you can pick yourself up too. So tell us about this kimonos. She makes amazing kimonos, and hey, I'm wearing one of them and she's wearing one as well. They're so fine. They are so fine. So please tell us about your business, tell us your social media handles, so that everybody knows where to follow you. And if you want to buy one, please go and buy one. I won't tell you how many I have, but please.
Okay, so the name of my brand is El by Elohor. ELBYELOHOR. That's it. And we do beautiful ethnocentric items, ethnic to modern, things that are not conventional, right? Very unconventional, very beautiful, and I would say outstanding. There's no piece you get from me that you don't go out there and feel like, wow,
yeah,
where did you get
I agree. I agree.
And I'm wearing one as well. This is a crop jacket kimono, and we do a whole lot. And aside my fashion line of Elba
I was going to say that.
Yes, I also have something I do which is called Real Talks with Elohor, where I talk about real issues, encourage people, inspire people, motivate people to become the best version of themselves and be all God has created them to be. And then just encourage them in this path called life, right? So that's what I do. And that's Real Talks with Elohor. Instagram page, Real Talks with Elohor. I'm on YouTube as well. Real Talks with Elohor.
See, that's it. You see her social media handles, kindly follow. You hear stuff that will lift you. There are times when I've listened to her, and even with my work as a coach or a counselor and therapist, I hear someone's, I'm like, that makes sense, that applies to me. So please follow. And if you'd like to get a very nice kimono, please, by all means, reach out to her and you will get one for yourself. So that next time I see you, you can just tell me, I got that from Elohor, and then we can do a selfie. I hope that this has brought some form of healing to you, some form of hope to you. If you know someone who would benefit from this, please tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell another friend, to like, to share, to subscribe, so that they can find the healing and the direction that they need. And this is a clear case of resilience. Don't die. Don't die. There is a choice not to die. If life happens and you lose a spouse, you don't have to go to. God is not wicked that He will take both of you away and leave your children orphans. Sometimes we are the ones that give up. Don't die. So I have a little gift for you. So when you see this little pillow in your living room, just remember the day you came here to give someone a message of hope, the day you came here to give a person a message of healing, for them to know that, look, life may throw lemons at you, but you don't have to look like what life has thrown at you.
So true. So
Please accept our token.
Thank you so much for this beautiful pillow.
Thank you.
I love it. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me on Tega Talks. Thank you. Thank you. And I hope what I've said will encourage someone out there today to stand, to be resilient, and not to give up. Take care. Thank you.
Awesome. I love it. And so I want you to please reach out. If you'd like to share your story on the podcast, please send a message, send a DM, and don't forget to tell a friend, to tell another friend, to tell another friend that there is no health without mental health.